Last week, we mentioned that we go back to back with German tracks, and comparatively, Hockenheim will look like child's play against the ring. It really is the ultimate test of a driver here, so let's see who can handle it as we get ready to watch Round 8 of the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legend Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth tonight is Christian Challoner. Behind the scenes is our director, Robert O'Brien, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. The ring is a lot to take in. We have a handy track guide to help introduce you in case you haven't seen this behemoth of a track before. Welcome to the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Most modern high-end series might use the GP circuit nowadays, but it will certainly never hold the respect and awe that the Northern Loop commands. Though it can be and is usually used in conjunction with the Grand Prix circuit for competitions in real life, here on iRacing, drivers can harken back to a time gone by and just run the 13-mile behemoth this place is known for. Nicknamed the Green Hell by three-time F1 world champion Sir Jackie Stewart, it is often regarded as the greatest test of a driver anywhere on the planet. Just looking at the stats will tell you why. More than 150 turns and close to 1,000 feet in elevation will pass you by in a single lap. Simply memorizing the course is half the battle for most drivers, let alone being fast. It goes without saying that this place is dangerous. Many fast corners lack runoff. There's blind apexes everywhere, and in a couple cases, even modern cars will get airborne. The list of famous turns is pretty lengthy, but some of the more notorious are places such as Flugplatz, Miss Hit Miss, Bravery Corner, and of course, the ever-iconic Carousel. It's not just the places where you've got to move the wheel that get attention too. The Dottinger Hoa stretches for more than 1.5 miles in length. While you would think this circuit would mainly be limited to the track days most gearheads flock to for a chance to lap the ring, it still sees quite a bit of wheel-to-wheel combat. The 24 Hours of the Nürburgring, the VLN Series, and the World Touring Car Championship all still take the track to this day. Many race fans consider this the mecca of road racing, and any driver who is able to push the limits here often quickly garners their respect. Well, Christian, there is so much that's been said about this place. I mean, what can we add?
Well, exactly. I mean, we saw it a little bit on our track guide video there at Flugplatz. This car can literally take off and fly, and there's numerous points around the track which, are kind of non-corners, are just sort of wiggly straightaways, but in the 49, you're actually lifting on the straight, so there is really no respite around this place. It's not quite the longest version of this track. It is the 24-hour layout, but it does cut off that little bit of arena section at the beginning. But still, 15.77 miles, 170 turns. Yeah, this is going to be a very, very tough race in this car.
No doubt about that. And if we take a look at the championship at this stage, it seems that Jim Shedlick is currently leading it, and he's got just about 38 points over Jordan Gronkowski right now. So he's starting to pull away, but he missed last week. He'll have that as a drop round once we start to count those. Trangarade is currently third in the points with Sanchez P4 and John Olsen sitting in fifth, and that's in the F1 championship. What are we looking at for the F2s here, Christian?
Well, I'm actually just still loading up my F2 Championship leaderboard, but I do believe that it is Hyoye Niva is still leading. Yes, he is indeed. Not quite as good a score at Hockenheim last week, only 22 points. Matthew Maudsley's clawed some back, he gained 20 points. Matt Wright's moved up into third spot with Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado. He's back there in fourth. Bruce Nelson, he takes over the fifth spot with a 37-point score at Hockenheim last week.
And if we now take a look at the Nations Cup, the United States currently leading the UK still on that one. But look at the gap that's starting to build there as well. Spain and Norway, a single point apart, down for third and fourth. From there, you got another little bit of a jump where things start to cluster between fifth and 10th. Singapore, Denmark, Finland, Slovakia, Australia and Canada kind of all in their own little battle as well. But it seems like the United States and the UK, two main protagonists up at the top. Now, race details are going to look just a little different today, Christian.
Yeah, very different. Round 8 of 12, so 2/3 of the way through the season. Only 4 laps, but obviously 4 extremely long laps of about 8 minutes 20 to 8 minutes 30, depending on your pace. So, yeah, actually a little bit of a long race today. Open setup as always in the 49, and no spare car, and that is going to be huge because it is so tricky just to make laps around this track. I think we're going to see a lot of drivers who take it very carefully, and will pick up a good result because of it.
Yeah, I agree. It's all going to be about that survival here today. And they won't have qualifying this time around. The drivers have already qualified just because of the length of the laps around here. And they just come in and do their warm-up in this session. So we'll see the qualifying results pretty soon. But the other interesting thing here today, Christian, is we've had a split. This is such a rare thing here in this series. The drivers usually see pretty big fields, but always single split in this series. So this is going to be the best of the best.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's been popular throughout the whole week. I did a race earlier in the week, and there was, I believe, over 30 cars signed up. So Nürburgring is obviously always a popular week no matter what the car, and it's very well suited to the 49, even if it is incredibly difficult.
Absolutely. In fact, nobody's going to be able to get a practice lap in here either, or at least a practice time in. It just takes so long to get around, so we won't have any gauge on that. But I do see some names that should be up towards the top. Topi Kortaniemi is back once again. Togo Hisada is here today. We'll see how he fares. Shedlick, we've got Jordan Gronkowski here along with Jim. Jim had to miss last week, of course. Sebastian Tixier still looking for that first win. So is Jordan. And as we mentioned, Jorge Nieva on his good season is in here in the top split. So that'll certainly help on him. But guys like Phil Lake, I see in here, who has jumped over. So glad to see Phil try and apply his hand at this series along with Camel. So that's pretty good as we watch Ben Laughter come through the GP course, which is so different from what we've seen to the Nordschleife itself. But they've only got about 30 seconds left here in the warm-up, and what should be, I believe, about 30 drivers here in this split. So should still be plenty to give us some action as we see Laos Olsen as well wrapping up on his. So for today's 8th round of the season, this is going to be perhaps the greatest test that they have experienced all season long. And we switch over to the starting grid for today's race. And Topi Kortaniemi has managed to put it on the pole with Togo Hisada starting from second. It is Ove Trangrade in P3. After that, Jim Shedlick will start from fourth and Jordan Gronkowski in fifth. Surprising to see them both off the front row. Sebastian Tixier P6 with Zabir Sanchez seventh and Jorge Nieva P8. Richard Yolland will start ninth and Norbert Rebelski in 10th.
Yeah, Mira Razki lines up alongside Laos Olsen for 11th and 12th spot with Gary Ho and Benjamin Kopke. I raced him earlier in the week. He's lined up in 14th. He has some good pace. Ryan Walker has decided to show up in the 49 again. He's there in 15th. And Matthew Maudsley, our F2 contender, in 16th. Bruce Nelson, Seb Alexander lined up 17th and 18th. And then Matt Wright and Philippe Lake round out the top 20.
21st is Ben Laughter with Gary Quellen in 22nd, and then Sean Olsen after that. Billy Hallman, another new name, it will be 24th. You've got Javier Mosquera, P25, Robert Plumley in 26, and Maurice Sensen as there is the last of your field. The engines are revving, and the green flag is out. Topi Kortaniemi is very good off the line. So is fourth place. It looks like Jim Shedlick has launched himself up into second, but it looks like he might lose that out. Oh, and both of our leaders come together right at the very start of the race. Hopefully not too much damage on the car for Topi Kortaniemi. 3 wide off of the chicane. Shedlick almost interlocking wheels with him and breaking down into Valvoline. Looks like Kortaniemi is going to get that lead back, but my goodness.
Yeah, whilst that was kicking off in the back, we've had quite an incident. Phil Lake, Gary Quellen, and a bunch of other drivers involved all turned around at turn 1. It is a difficult corner, and it's really hard to judge the braking zone there at the best of times, let alone on lap 1.
who's still getting some drivers being aggressive here at the start. They know it's going to be hard to pass once they hit the Nordschleife portion of this track. Hisada now ahead of Shedlick, who has fallen back to where he began this race. And he's got Tixier all over the back of him as we watch on board with Sebastian getting counter-steering through the Schumacher S.
Yeah, and you really do have to make the pass on the GP loop because it's basically impossible to pass on the Old North loop. So that's why we're seeing so many drivers be so aggressive. There's really only 4 chances at this to, get some track position.
Yeah, we could see some drivers maybe on some of the long straights who get a better run and some slipstream, but you heard Christian talk about even some of those parts can be really sketchy. And as they fly through the last chicane, now the real test starts. And Kortenemi is your leader as they enter the Nordschleife. Trangrade second. Togo Hisada is in third.
Yeah, and Kortenemi had a really kind of ridiculous qualifying time. He was the only driver down in the 8:13s. I gave that a go myself, and I was about 4 seconds off. So, yeah, Kortenemi is very, very quick around here. And I really thought that his time would stand. What I was surprised to see was how close a lot of other drivers got. Hisada was within about a half a second.
Had a few accidents on the first lap. Lafter-Quellen, Hallman, Lamb, and Wickstrom with issues as we check out the onboard of Laos Olsen now. And you can see the line of cars up ahead. Everybody staying single file for now. And here we go, up to Flugplatz. For the first time, we start to get 4 wheels in the air.
Yeah, you could absolutely get full flight here, so we're going to have to watch out to see if anybody gets this a little bit wrong. You really want to brake before you take off. Whoa!
And that's what happens when it goes wrong, as Laos Olsen unfortunately discovers, and disappointment, hands in the air, unbelieving that his race is over on the very first lap. So we head back up towards the front of the fields into the Swedish Cross and Ehrenberg. They fly. Still the same 3. Kortenemi, Trangrade, Hisada, Shedlick's trying to play catch-up. He had such a good start, and instead he finds himself back where he began. But look at Trangrade here. He wants to try and get that track position away.
Yeah, Inove was another driver with a very strong qualifying time. He ran 8:14.6, so 1.1 seconds off Kortenemi, a little bit slower. But the one thing to keep in mind is that the qualifying is a one-shot deal, so it's not uncommon for drivers to take it a little bit easy. I don't think anybody's taking it easy running at 8:14, but he might have had a little bit more pace, and obviously here in the race, he's all over Kortenemi.
Out of Oudenauer forced. I thankfully did not see any accidents into there. It's another very tricky one in this car. Trying to get it to slow down through a curved braking zone. So instead, plunging down through Callenhard as they head towards miss, hit, miss. Let's see if anybody runs a little wide there. It is so long and so hard to get right.
Yeah, and the little switchback before it, that's really, really difficult in the 49. If you are a little bit offline, the curb can kind of really throw you off to one side, so got to be careful through there.
Not seeing any accidents. Curved braking yet again down into Versifen. Translates to Defense Valley, but they find themselves getting through at the front of the field, and the chase is still on for Ove Trangrade up through Exmula. And now starting to head towards one of our first long straightaways here pretty soon, out of Lauda Links and into Bergwerks. It's going to be a long stretch going up through Kesselchen here.
Yeah, and this is the section that I was talking about where it's not full throttle. It sounds crazy, but there's enough curvature to the straightaway that you are actually lifting a little bit along here.
Watching Ben Kopke here, trying to chase down on Rebelski. Just in front of him. This is for 9th place. Starting to catch up a little bit. Let's see if maybe he can slide through here just a little bit better. You can see how tight it is for the both of them as we watch from above. This is very steeply uphill that you're seeing right now. And he gets up to him. Yeah, slipstream is there, but just nowhere to take it. And up through the Moot curve, he is much braver.
Yeah, and that's really what's going to make the difference around this track. But obviously, there's a fine line between that with the bravery and a big accident.
And he's going to just kind of let him by. I think he doesn't want that pressure anymore. So Norbert falls to 10th, Ben up to 9th just before they hit the infamous carousel. Already our leaders are out of that and continuing to climb up towards the highest part of the track. And we are heading a little bit up towards, who did we have here? Looks like Gronkowski had a bit of an issue. Let's see. Oh, someone in front of him popped out of the banking, and they're going to bang wheels. Not sure if he hit the wall there, but that certainly didn't help his situation.
Yeah, and I think he has picked up damage. He looks like he's going pretty slowly right now.
Yeah, he's trying to stay off the racing line. We're going to give it one more look. So that's Sebastian Tixier that he makes the contact with. And yeah, it must have been just the contact between them because he did not hit the wall. And he's parked it. I'd say that Gronkowski is going to have to take a tow. And that might be day over for him, depending on if he wants to try and repair it and risk getting back out there. So it is still Courtenay ahead of Trangray, but about 0.3 of a second between them. I wonder if up Dotting or Hoa, Trangray's finally going to unleash the power of this car and skitter on by.
Yeah, he's definitely going to have an opportunity to make the pass, but it's one of those questions as to, do you actually want to be the leader here? I sort of think that maybe you don't, and you want to just wait until that 4th lap and then make the pass, because he's realistically not going to be able to escape.
Yeah, that's the good point. Well, it depends on how much he feels he's being held up, because if he feels like he can go much faster, maybe he could escape here, as we see them come up towards now Gallows Hill. Next up is through Dotting or Hoa. It is a long, flat-out blast, I believe a little bit over a mile long, and they're going to start to pick up immense speed. Yes, these cars aren't as quick through the corners as some, but look at this. We're already at 185 miles an hour and still climbing.
Yeah, and he is going to go for the move. It is Ove, after all. I suppose I forgot that one consideration, that he will race no matter what.
Oh, but side by side through Antonius Beach Kink. Oh, this is going to be super sketchy, and he's almost 2 wheels into the grass. He has to give that one up. Courtenay has the bigger stones between them. Hisada catches up as well, and now they finally slow it up into the last bit of chicanes.
They do, but now we're onto the GP loop where there is a lot of passing opportunities, relatively speaking, so I don't think Ove is going to give this up. I think he's going to take a shot at it down into turn 1, perhaps.
Let's see, he's close, and look at the damage that the nose has accrued. The cars bottom out so much around here. You cannot get away scot-free without a little bit of damage on the car. And no, he is not able to try and attack down into the first corner, that first little hairpin of the Yokohama S. So it is a bit of a breakaway. Shedlick not as strong here today as you look at the nose dips. Oh, and Jorge Nieva, one of our F2 champions. Oh, no! And he runs into multiple cars. It looks like Maudsley involved in that. That's one of his F2 rivals.
Yeah, it looked like he went really deep on his own. We'll have to see if he was involved with another car. Yep, going to the outside of Kopke, I think. And then in the rejoin, just, came straight back into line.
I think Plumley, it looks like Matthew Maudsley and Ryan Walker were the ones involved in that one. Let's watch from above here with Nieva. Going to have the moment of going just a little too deep. Did a good job not running into the car in front of him, but then failed the second half of the test.
Yeah, I was just obviously very keen to get back going, and just a half a car length away from being clear. It was going to be tight no matter what, but yeah, unfortunate.
Well, already our leaders are getting ready to head back on to the Nordschleife portion. And it looks like I can see, I believe, about 23 drivers finish the first lap. So there's your watermark for everybody. The high watermark is how many can make it from there. It looks like Ryan Walker and Matthew Maudsley, with their incident there, had to take a tow after they completed the first lap. And I bet they didn't expect the Grand Prix course to be their downfall.
Yeah, absolutely. And, there's some big names went out on that first lap. Obviously, we saw Laos Olsen's demise. He gave us a great demonstration of what can go wrong at Flugplatz, but obviously not what he would have wanted. We saw Gronkowski go out as well. Colin also didn't complete the first lap. Neither did Will Lamb.
Man. So this is all about just keeping it on the island today. And as they head out of High Oaks, they're going to go through Kittelbacher Hoa and into Flugplatz once again. Will all 4 of them manage to get through? Steb Alexander had an incident. We'll go back to that. Look at the height that Toga Hisada was able to get there over the jump.
And it's wild how comfortable these guys are with having that much air time, and it is a pretty big time gain, because obviously you just carry more momentum through all the way down the straightaway. So it's worth pushing, but it's just so dangerous. It's very, very, very difficult to stick the landing, and to bank on being able to do it 4 times in succession in a race. I don't know. I'm content to pull it up short and not have the big air time.
Well, okay, so you've always been way more knowledgeable about setups than I have. Is there anything you can do to the suspension to make them handle the landing better?
Well, actually, it's interesting, because I gave Topi's setup a go, because I was curious to see if he'd kind of picked up anything that I'd missed. And while it was, pretty good setup, I ran about the same time, and I sort of felt the same around the track. So he did have higher front ride height, which maybe he felt like was helping him a little bit, or maybe he was just using it to avoid the nose damage. I'm not quite sure, but the jump, no matter what, was scary. It made no difference what setup was on the car. It was always kind of a wild ride.
Oh, and now Phil Lake, man, coming over from the Camel GT. Even he can't manage this one. As we continue to watch our top 3, I think we got a replay here on Phil. Let's see what happened to him. Oh, and trying to figure out where that is. Is that, I think, out in our
That's
forest?
Yeah, it's right before. It's just after Foxhole.
Ah. So yeah, here's where the car gets really compressed into appropriately named compression and the foxhole. And then up into Oudenauer Forest, it's that left-hand kink that I was talking about, and off he goes. Once you hit that wall, you're a passenger. Okay, well, I think actually we have one of the, former drivers in this race ready to talk to, as we got Laos Olsen here to maybe help guide us a little bit about what the drivers are experiencing. Laos, man, I'm sorry that we're talking to you so early. We actually were on board during your wreck. A bit disappointing, but man, this battle that we're seeing for the lead is something else. What's it like out there in this combined circuit?
It's a challenge, at least. That's for sure. The track is so bumpy, and if you have too much throttle over some of the bumps, or if you're landing wrong, then the car can do all kind of funny stuff. So, which is also what happened to me at the Flugplatz. I actually took it quite easy, but somehow got the suspension loaded up in a funny way. So when I tried to brake, it snapped to the left. So
that is really sorry to hear. And we're watching the top 3 continue on in their fights. And if you were one of these guys, especially Ove Trangereid, who seems to be a little bit faster than Korteniemi in places. Now, Christian says he thinks Ove should wait till the last lap to try and make the move. I'm wondering if it's better to have the clear track in front of you. What would you do if you were in Ove's shoes?
I think I would prefer the clear track. I think it's quite difficult to follow another car, but I think that's probably what's personal preference. But of course, being in the second position, if you're close last time down the straight, that's also an advantage, because the draft is quite effective here.
Well, next round is going to be another unique challenge of its own, the Oval at Motegi. Will we see you there?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, we look forward to it. Commiserations, and can't wait to talk to you in Japan.
Thanks.
That was Laos Olsen, DNF, here today. Had an interesting bit of conversation over the radio. Sanchez was a little bit upset, and it was with Ben Kopke, who was making aggressive moves to try and get around here on the Nordschleife. He did so successfully, though, Christian, and Ben's been jumping upwards. He's up 8 spots.
Yeah, and Ben, when he was in the race I was in the other day, he was very, very quick. He was hanging on to us, so he's definitely got pace. He did seem like he was, a little bit more keen to get by on the North Loop than other drivers. So I guess he's just making it happen where he can. And at the moment, it looks like Ove might have a better shot this time. He's pretty close to the back of Topi here.
Yeah, this is up through the Beloff S's that we're watching. The cars behind them. and out of Gallows Hill as almost a wheel off there, I think, with Sanchez, as he is certainly pushing to try and hold up to the back of Kopke. Meanwhile, Trangrade is starting to reel in Korteniemi, but he's not going to be side by side by the time they hit the Antonius Beach kink. Will he? He is going to be. Big run here. Is this better momentum coming from farther behind? Maybe he planned this, and it looks like he's going to have the slingshot. Now he's got the track position. Hisada thinks about it, but Togo cannot get through, so Topi only loses one. Now, what will we see from the 14 car?
Well, it's very difficult breaking down into turn 1, so it's possible that Topi's going to have a run back at it. It's so easy to drive deep into this corner, and Topi's got to run.
Could take it right back here. I don't know if Ove planned on this bit, and down to the inside. He's got a much better run than Ove did last lap inside of the first apex. If he can cover him off the second one, and he does, he's going to be back into the lead. So all that hard work undone in the matter of a couple corners.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, he's going to get more opportunities at this. He's proved that he can actually pull the pass off, but it does look more difficult than maybe we might have expected, especially considering the length of the straightaway. And
Kopke's in the pits. He has too much damage. He's got a meatball flag. So he was fast, but he was injured. This is incredible.
Yeah, I'm not sure how he's managed to pick that up. And also, if he was still fast, it's the Nürburgring. It's only 4 laps. He should have kept going.
I didn't even think of that. That's an amazing point. Yeah, he could have just finished this race with ease. Well, I mean, maybe he got that after he made the pass. I'm not entirely sure, but we'll have to check on that a little bit later. Still been watching these three because they've been the brunt of the excitement in this race. At least we've been keeping a battle for the lead. Often we see cars spread out here, so this is a little bit unusual in itself, Christian.
Yeah, I mean, it's no surprise who's in the lead fight, I don't think. It's a little bit surprising that Jim Shedlick is not in this lead fight, and Tixia is a little bit further behind as well. They're kind of having their own sort of runoff for P4 right now. I would have expected these guys to be a little bit closer, but at the same time, I'm not surprised who is in our lead battle. It's always the same guys.
So Tixier instead is now taken off to try and challenge on the number 1. Again, our championship leader. And this will be the first race, unless Jim gets some luck with Korteniemi, Trangrade, and Hisada wrecking, which isn't impossible. If Jim will finish off of the win, the top step of the podium, for the first time since round 1. That said, he missed Hockenheim, as I mentioned, so he didn't win that one, obviously. But every race that he's shown up to, other than the first round, he has taken victory.
Yeah, it's been really impressive so far this season. And I don't think he'll be too unhappy. Hisada's going around. He's got it wrong at Flugplatz. He has saved it, though.
Wow. In fact, we definitely need a replay on this one. Oh my goodness. This is full drift here from the Japanese driver. Watch this. Unreal. That car should not be still going. That is just seat of your pants stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just kind of landed a little bit wrong for him, but fortunately, at least pointed in the right direction. This was crazy, though.
Can't believe he caught that. He probably can't believe he caught that, I'm pretty certain as well. And he carries on, and he's still in third. Now, here's what's really curious. Is he faster than those top 2? Can he actually run them down, or was that just the slipstream keeping him in tow?
I think he can run them down, depending on how easy these drivers are taking it. But they're really not. Topi's last lap in 8:15. Ove's in 8:14.8, 8:14.9 for Togo himself. You know, it's qualifying pace right here. So I think it's going to be a tall order for him to run this gap back down. So currently we have, looks like 20 drivers still out on track and rolling here with a lap and a half to go, essentially. So we might wind up with about 2/3 of them, unless we lose a lot more on this lap here. We'll see if at least half are able to finish
in today's race. We're on board with Tixier sitting in 5th, still right on top of Jim Shedlick. And not expecting Seb to get that elusive win here today, but I'm sure he'd love to at least finish ahead of Jim. And I'm sure that after watching him take race after race, it'll be sort of an emotional victory for the number 9 machine, but starts to fall a little bit of ways as they come over Ex-Mula and into the Lauda Kink as we jump behind them as well. This looks to be, I think this is Sanchez that we're watching being chased. Oh, excuse me, this is Cortinami. We've gone forward just in front, and that's a pretty big gap compared to before over Trangarade.
Yeah, he's got almost a second here, and that seems to have developed after Hazada's big moment. He's 4.3 back. He's kind of in no man's land. Tixier looking for an opportunity here, but just such a difficult place to make a pass.
This is called the Moot Curva, which translates to Bravery Corner. And looks like he was brave enough through there. Then as they continue to head up into Stijlstrecke, first heavy braking zone off after that long run, switches back towards the famous carousel, one of the most iconic corners in all of road racing. And you'll see why right here with that banking down to the inside. Single file. Unfortunately, popping out of it is not the fast way around.
Yeah, and that's not the first time we've seen Seb pop out of the carousel. He did it already on lap 1, so it is difficult in the 49 to stay in the carousel, but he seems to be struggling with it more than most.
This is on board with Yalin chasing on Rebelski and Sanchez. Apparently, the story goes for that corner. The reason it has that one-line banking is that used to be a ditch to the inside. It was just a flat, long corner, and I believe his name was Caracola. Apologies if I've got the Italian wrong, but there was a Grand Prix driver in the very, very early years who would dip his wheels into that ditch and make it faster. So eventually, they just paved over it and made it a part of the track.
Yeah, it's definitely an iconic corner of the track, and I'm glad that hasn't gone away. I know, obviously, we've seen a lot of old school racetracks when they get resurfaced and whatnot. Watkins Glen, I really like Watkins Glen, but it saddens me that they removed all of the concrete slabs, because that to me was a real part of the track, and I'm glad that they've not done that here.
Yeah, it seems like they want to retain the character of this place as much as possible. It's such the draw, the challenge of trying to race what is still a legitimately dangerous track as well in real life, as it sadly has seen some fatalities in recent years, but they do their best to make it as safe as they can, but not take away as, my goodness, look at the cars dance over some of these jumps, these corners, as Christian said, that are non-corners in most other cars. And this is a high-speed back-and-forth section, but this is a high-speed straightaway. Cortinemi is a little bit farther away. What's this going to do to this this battle now?
I think Ove's too far back for an opportunity now. He's got to close it down this lap, and he's just going to get that one shot at it on the final lap. He's definitely not going to have an opportunity here.
And look at him weave back and forth. Topi's doing his darndest to try and break that slipstream. He's done a pretty good job. It's only about 6:10, so Trangarade did pull a little on him, but not enough. Hazada has absolutely dropped off. You can't even see him in the pictures now, as he's about 5 seconds away, and using every inch of this, Trangarade, right up to the Armco as well, coming out of the final chicanes.
Yeah, and he knows he's got to close this gap down, because he is only going to get maybe 1 or 2 more chances on this final lap.
I think we've got a couple other drivers that have come out from their incidents, taking repairs, and gotten back out, because we're now back up to, I'm seeing, I think, 21? Yeah, 21. Oh, Hallman, though, is now in pit lane just recently, so... Oh, and it was a massive, massive wreck. This appears to be, I think, down into Brideside, yeah.
Yeah, you see it's looking a little bit uncomfortable to begin with.
Yeah, I think he had already taken some repairs and gone back out, and the car was not at 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, just got too hot into the corner there, and obviously no room for error. No room for error at most corners on this track, but especially not that one.
No, that wall is right there. That's one of the places where on a regular non-racing day, that's when you can enter and exit the circuit. But we come back to Nieva. So how is he doing here? As trying to figure out where he is. 12th, it looks like. This is Bruce Nelson. Jorge had a little bit of an issue earlier. He's going to look around the outside of the Dunlop hairpin. Just about grabs it over Bruce, but not yet. And I'm sure he's going to be in a hurry to try and overtake before they get back to the Nordschleife.
Yeah, and, we've talked already about how difficult it is to pass on the Nordschleife, and that the passing opportunities really are on the GP track, so he will want to get this done. But I want to talk about one driver who is just one spot ahead of this. So, Gary Ho has made... This is his 17th start this week.
Whoa. Oh, no. Ove Trankerade with a problem. And this is somewhere early in the Nordschleife lap. Let's see. He's not on the Nordschleife yet here. Is it maybe actually coming onto it proper? Or is it in Sabine Schmitz?
Oh, it just got on the curb.
And then he tries to carry on. The car is wounded. He's a little slow. Nah, he's going to pull off. Yeah, he kind of realizes that's the game. That's day over for him. So Hisada gets promoted up into P2, and Jim Shedlick is on the podium yet again now. So Tixier is actually still on the back of Jim. The importance of this battle just increases. So I'm not sure how aware they are that they've been bumped up a spot, if they saw the incident ahead of them or not. And they're going to go through compression here up towards Oudenauer Forst. Another one of those danger zones. Both of them nice and clean on the first part, getting it woed up. A little bit of a gain from Sebastian Tixier. Braver down into the braking zone.
Yeah, and he was taking a little bit of a look to the inside there. It didn't come off, but he was having a quick look to see if he might be able to do it.
Let's stay here, but a note about Snelson and Nieva. Snelson is in the F2 championship, but unfortunately he is well behind Nieva. So even if he keeps the position over him, it's not going to be huge inroads on that fight. So we'll see how that plays out for those F2s. Meanwhile, Sebastian Tixier just kind of hounding Jim Shedlick here on the final lap of the race. Last one to go. Is he waiting for that run down the Dottinger Ho? And what about this man in the number 2? Can Topi keep it together? The battle is not over. He may be alone, but it's him versus the track from here.
Yeah, and there's so many places it can still go wrong. He does have a huge margin, 8.2 seconds back to Togo Hisada in second there, so he can afford to take it easy, but even when taking it easy in the 49 around this track, it can still bite.
Yeah, I've seen it countless times. I've had it happen to me countless times. And Topi heads up through Kesselchen from here. So 7.8, 8 seconds over Togo Hisada. Oh, and, excuse me, it's Shedlick and Tixier. I thought Shedlick had an issue and had dropped off of Hisada. He was not close to him before. But even still, there you can see the gap between the number 1 and the number 9 machine. Through Kesselchen they fly. This is one of the longest uphill climbs. In fact, I think it is the longest uphill climb on the entire lap.
Yeah, it is, and it's just very, very difficult. You see car jumping around so much through here. It's a place where normally you can kind of have a go in kind of a more modern car, but in the 49, I just think it's too sketchy to try and pull a move.
Yeah, one thing we haven't talked about, it's a long lap. Yeah, it's difficult with the barriers close, but it's also narrow. This is a very thin track.
Yeah, it really is. And, 2x2, with a car that moves around as much as this is always dangerous. There's not a single place. Even the GP track is kind of tricky to go 2x2 through there. So certainly any too wide that we see on the old North Loop is impressive for one and very, very dangerous for the other.
Yeah, and I'm looking through. Looks like Quellen's headed back out onto the track. Kopke actually managed to get back out there. Will Lamb and Ryan Walker. So we're up to, well, really down to about 19 or 20, I think, at this stage. It's a bit jumbled up because there's so many that are in and out, and some have still not gained positions. Oh, and Jorge Nieva just had a problem. I'm not sure if he touched the wall, but he's lost contact with Snelson rather. I think he managed to avoid it.
Yeah, I think he did. He just looked like he got a pretty poor exit out of the carousel, and now he's under a little bit of threat from Plumley here.
Actually, this is Walker that we see on screen. That's a lapped car. So if Walker's quicker, I think if I'm Jorge, I'm just going to let him go. So we'll try and maybe check out a replay on that a little bit later, because look at Courtiniemi now towards the back half of the lap. In fact, he's getting very close to being done, because that is up out of Swallowtail and into the mini carousel, the second little bit of banking, and Gallows Hill. So just a couple braking events to go, and this is his race.
Yeah, and he's kind of been dominating all week. His qualifying time, he put it in pretty early on, and he had a massive gap. He had about 5 seconds to the nearest car at one point. They did close him down, but I kind of always felt like he was going to be the guy to beat today.
That Finnish cool head seems to have really paid off at a track that tests your nerves. And this is actually going to be the third win of the season. He was the one that won that first race at Bathurst that he beat Shedlick, and then he won at Hockenheim when Shedlick wasn't there. And now it's going to be his third one, but he has not been in for other races since then, as Courtiniemi hits the brakes one last time. Seems to be fast at these tracks that are dangerous and challenging, because a victory at Bathurst is going to be mirrored by a victory here at the Nürburgring for Topi Courtiniemi. Wiggling across the line in celebration, as Hisada should be proud of this second place, frankly. It may be where he started, but he managed to hold off those who could not hold on to the car around this track, and Shedlick still manages a podium. So the only race that he's attended that wasn't a podium is that Bathurst race at this stage. Tixier just shy in fourth, and looks like Xavier Sanchez, good run here for a top five. Meanwhile, the rest of them carrying across. Not many in the way of battles. I'm more curious to see who is going to finish this race. Hey, Laos Olsen took it back out on the track, but he's going to only finish 2 of the 4 laps here, unfortunately. In fact, he is he's in the GP course, so we might not want to wait for him to finish. It'll be another 8 minutes for him to get out there, as this is Mosquera here in 14th. This is going to be the brunt of the drivers here in a moment, followed by Olsen and Rama. So I think once we see Mosquera get across the line, that's going to be it. We're going to head for a quick break. In fact, Javier now heading into Hohenrad and Tiergarten, and there is Mosquera heading in now. So down and across the line, that is a 14th for Mosquera. Sorensen ahead of him, 13th, and Olsen P15 just coming in. John Olsen, I should clarify, well behind them. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back here to the Nürburgring. We said it's the ultimate test. Well, the ultimate driver wound up being Topi Korteniemi with about a 10-second lead over his nearest rival, Toga Hisada, who managed to save the car in a spectacular fashion after Flugplatz, a way I don't think we've ever seen anybody in this 49 do around that corner. Jim Shedlick was third behind him to round out the podium. He had to hold off immense pressure from Sebastian Tixier, who was P4. Xavier Sanchez was quite a ways back comparatively to them. He was still at top 5 as Richard Yolland was 6 and Norbert Rebelski was P7. Miro Haraski finished 8th. Bruce Nelson, nice gains today, up 8 spots to get 9th, and Jorge Nieva fell back a little bit to get a top 10 in the end here, Christian.
And Gary Ho, in his 17th start of the week, unfortunately just missed out the top 10, but does come home in 11th. Robert Plumley, nice climb from 26th up to 12th. Maria Sorensen, the same, 27th to 13th, with Javier Mascara finishing up in 14th. John Olsen, another nice climb. He went 23rd to 15th. Diego Rama, 30th to 16th. Unfortunately, Ove Trengerade, he is classified as finishing 17th, even though he did not complete that last lap. Jan Hoffman, he went 28th to 18th. Ryan Walker, Benjamin Kopke, they round out the top 20.
From there, just a smattering of these drivers did finish, a number of them taking repairs and getting back out there, but it's mostly DNFs. And as we mentioned earlier, these are some big names, guys like Maudsley, Lake, Olsen, Gronkowski, and Laughter definitely deserved a little bit more here today. We do have our winner ready to talk to us, Topi Korteniemi. But before we get to the race itself, Topi, we have to talk about that qualifying lap. How in the world did you manage that fast of a lap?
I don't know. Just in the Nordschleife, you never get a perfect lap. I know I lost almost 1 second on that lap. I missed a couple of apexes so bad, but I think Jackie Stewart himself said that there's no perfect lap at the ring.
Yeah,
I don't know.
which makes it even more astonishing that you managed such a gap over everybody. But in the race itself, it looked like you didn't have it all your own way. You had Togo and you had Ove right on your tail the entire time. How do you hold up against that pressure and fight against this track?
I don't know. I noticed that Uwe was slower in some turns, but he was then again faster in some other turns. But I don't know. It's like Flugplatz. You know what to do. You just don't overthink it and just go for it and drive the car.
I kind of like that approach, just put everything out of the way and just do what you know to do. Your body has that memory, and we can see it on the replay here, just bouncing around. Well, are you relieved to see the other side of this week at the ring, or are you a bit sad that we're heading off to the oval? Because I know this track is kind of love it or hate it for a lot of people.
Actually, I was thinking doing some oval racing next week anyway, so we'll see.
All right. Well, thanks for giving us quite the show there, especially that race for the lead. Anybody you want to thank for this win?
Of course, Jim and Togo, we had a good moment in turn 1. I think we were 3 wide there. Good heads up from them. We made it through clean, I think. And of course, Mick, I think he's still in Austria or in Italy, but all the best for him.
Yep, we've been following behind the scenes, and there will be stuff out soon of his adventures here on the channel. That was Topi Korteniemi, who finished first today. I had honestly forgotten about that opening wreck. So much had happened, but looks like Christian has caught up with third place Jim Shedlick in the meantime.
Jim, it looked like it was a pretty exciting race on the first lap, but just not quite able to stick with the pace of the top 3 today, which is very unusual to say, talking to you. Obviously, we've seen throughout the season that you've been pretty dominant. This week, a little bit different. A very, very tough track, right?
Yeah, this track is will definitely get you if you try to drive over your pace, and my pace was not there, and that's okay. I know a lot of the drivers here have tons of experience in this track, and I don't have quite that much, maybe as much as they do, but it's okay. I'm really happy to finish on the podium. I didn't think that would necessarily be it. I really just wanted to finish kind of where I could based on pace.
Yeah, definitely. With the Nürburgring, sometimes it just makes sense to take what is given to you, really. And I think third place finish is pretty good. Obviously, we're used to seeing you in the number 1 spot, but obviously with how difficult the track is and whatnot, it's still a good result. Obviously, championship-wise, you're looking, I want to say almost home, but we've still got 4 rounds to go, and the next one is an oval, Twin Ring Motegi. How do you feel about that? We've kind of had a very wild schedule this season. We've got to quite a few different types of tracks, and you've made them work for you. So do you think you can make it happen at the oval?
I'm excited for Motegi. I think going into the season, I definitely saw this 4-race stretch that we're in now as really the kind of critical factor, coming from Knockhill a couple of races ago where we just knew it would be chaotic. And I knew I had to miss Hockenheim. I knew that could be a big swing last week. And this week, obviously, Nordschleife speaks for itself. So, next week kind of finishes it off, I think, with the oval. Probably it could be a little chaotic too, but having a bit of a lead, I feel like I can go out there and try and win. So, I'm pretty excited.
Well, sounds good. And obviously, after that, we've got Laguna Seca, Montreal, Street Circuit, and then Watkins Glen Classic Boot. So, kind of an interesting mix of tracks to get us to the end of the season. Now, anybody that you'd like to give a shout-out to for Nürburgring this week?
Well, I want to give one quick shout out to Togo, who made, once again, the most amazing save that I think I've seen in this car from a couple of races back. Zandvoort, he made an incredible save, and today I saw him make a save through Flugplatz, which I don't think I've ever seen in my life. So, his car control is epic, so I appreciate his highlights that he creates for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And one last question before we let you go. How do you deal with Flugplatz? Because I know for me, it was just extremely scary. I was just braking very early and trying to not get any air at all, but obviously giving up a little bit of pace for that. What was your approach today? Were you just kind of going for it, or were you kind of pulling it up short as well?
Yeah, I found that there wasn't maybe a ton of time to be gained by pushing it to the absolute limit. So, generally, it's kind of how I approached the race today. But, I got a little bit of braking out of the way before going up in the air and just made sure my nose kind of didn't end up too high in the air. If it did, I found that the bouncing was really tough coming down. So just try to get, a little braking out front, have the nose kind of come down flatter or maybe a little bit first. And then I found the car settled in nicely for the right-hander after that.
Excellent, good stuff. And next week at the Oval, we wish you all the best, and maybe we'll be chatting to you from that P1 spot again.
Sure hope so. Appreciate it. Thanks.
So that was third place finisher Jim Shedlick, finally off the top step for once. We do have one more to chat with. We didn't get to see him today because, well, he was in second split. Don Peak is with us. And Don, I know you've been racing a lot this week. Unfortunately, not able to make it on the broadcast because of the split in the race. What was it like down in the second split today?
Oh, about what you'd expect. Lots of chaos. Just want to report in that Cam Porter won. Michael Grisinger was second, and I managed a third.
Well, congratulations. Podium. Is that your first podium this week here at the ring, or have you been getting any others?
Nope, I had a second the other day. So.
Oh, well, fantastic stuff. You'll have plenty to watch here in the top split for the broadcast afterwards. I guarantee you that. How was your race in general? Did you kind of take it easy, or were you pushing?
You can't push too hard on this track because it'll bite you if you do. So my plan is always to run my pace and see where I land.
Well, that landed you with the top three. Anybody you want to thank to managing to get to spray the champagne today?
I'll thank Michael Grisinger specifically and Tobias for being racing clean. There were times when it could have been dicey and it wasn't. So.
Oh, great stuff. That was Don Peak joining in, and have to say I'm pretty happy to hear that. Get to hear my own dad get a podium here at the Nürburgring, as we both definitely love this track. But we are going to take off today as we give a big thank you as well ourselves to the Lotus 49 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. And also a big thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more great work. And thanks to the team today, Christian, Rob, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. And check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storenvy.com. There's a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. And as we mentioned, in the next race, it's off to Japan for Twin Ring Motegi. It's the oval that they'll be racing. on Saturday, May 14th at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar. Up next later today, Camel GT is going to Spa-Francorchamps at 1 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.